So again, that might not have anything to do with, you might not remember that. Don't panic. You've got hopefully other people who can help you out as well. Google's mission, just basically help the world with all of this information out there and make it universally accessible. Here on slide 12, with the G Suite for Education. So this morning you've seen me talk about Google Forms, or you completed a Google form. Then that Google form, I showed you the data, real life, data right there as you were filling out the Google form in a Google Sheet. Then I showed you a Google Docs. All of these different apps out there that integrate together, and then you can collaborate with other teachers, and other students can collaborate with each other. So you have all of that available there. Again, it could be overwhelming here in the beginning. It does get easier. So as you can see today, I was trying something new with you joining a Google Classroom. It worked for some, it didn't work for everyone. So that's fine. We'll just go to plan B and do that. But for those of you who can see it as a student, sometimes there's a value of that as well. Another thing here that I have on slide 12, some of you are going to be, again, who have used Google Classroom before, you won't need to listen to me here in the beginning about going over some of the basic things. So feel free, anywhere you see where you can click on a link, check it out, see what's there, and hopefully this will increase your learning. But if you look right here with this apps versus extensions. So if you hear throughout this workshop today, talking about apps. So far we have talked about, Google Docs, that's an app, Google Forms, Google Sheets, Google Classroom is an app. It's an application, software application that you can access to help your do different functions and different tools in your classroom. So if you scroll down here, this is a table that kind of walks you through what an extension is, what an app is, and what an add-on is. We probably won't talk about add-ons today, but for those of you who already know about apps and extensions and hadn't heard about add-ons, hopefully then you'll take this time to learn about add-ons. So the web apps, that's what I just went over. Then the extensions. These are just smaller tools out there to give you more features on different websites that you use. So if you hear us talking about that today, that's what extensions are. Again, here, slide 13 and 14, we've got the different apps out there that you have access to with your G Suite for Education account. And then you also have access to these apps through your personal account if you do have a personal account. All right, I moved that up, so I'll go ahead and delete that. Or I guess I put that back in there. Let me hit undo. So I have this 2 places in the slide deck because that was my way of challenging some of the students out there to go ahead and work on this. And then the rest of you, I'm going to walk you through how to do this collaborative assignment. So if I shared this correctly, you should have editing rights to it. So if you click on this once and then click on this again to open it up, it should open up a slide deck. Okay. And this is perfect. We've got some people who've already started working on this. And I didn't assign you numbers. So how did Jessica decide to put this on number 4? She just chose a slide that no one else was working on. How do you know that no one else is working on this? If you look right here, there's an anonymous animal. I don't even know how to pronounce some of these anonymous animals. Right here, if you see one already on that one, go to another slide that no one is on. And then follow the directions. So again, I put the directions a couple different places. I put it here on slide 1. So if you want to include your name, where and what you teach, you've got the directions right here. Then I also put a template. again, for any new assignments out there, or, if we hadn't discussed this before, sometimes I would put a template for some of the assignments. Do I always? I don't always. But again, I've learned when I first started to do this, I didn't put a template out there, and with my newbies, they were lost. So I put a template out there. If you were a newbie, you know exactly what to do. If you had used Google Slides before, you could change it up. You don't have to put everything exactly where I put it here on this template. So even if you are a newbie, you could still change it up. So I then have a placeholder where they could put their name, and then what you teach, what is a fun fact, and then it tells you what to do with this YouTube image and what to do here. So again, some of you might be saying, I've never taken a selfie. I don't know how to insert a selfie. I don't know how to insert a YouTube video. Again, take a deep breath, we'll help you. But again, this helps me to differentiate. For the people who know how to do this, they can. And then it also gives the students a chance to step up and help out with this assignment here too, whether it's if they're doing it live, or they can, in the Google Classroom stream, they could reach out to other students, and or in this case, since we're doing this right now, people could put this in the chat here in our Zoom workshop. Okay, so, all right. Got someone who's having trouble out there. Let's see. Yeah, no problem. Having trouble with Zoom. I've been on Zoom since 8 o'clock this morning, and I've had issues. So I'm hoping that we won't have issues during this workshop now, but we'll try to get you help. So you're just seeing my screen. Okay, and you're not able to do anything on your screen. Okay, perfect. So what you will need to do, in the middle of your screen, there's viewable options. And what you will need to do, either, I think under that viewable options is a place where you can exit full screen. Help me out there. I see a different screen than you guys, but is that what you clicked on, was exit full screen? So then you could do a split window? Let me know if you're able to get that, and if you need more help, let us know. Okay, that worked perfect. And yeah, please, if I don't see the messages in chat, please unmute and let us know, or send the chat to everyone as well. So some people are figuring it out perfect. Jessica or Lisa here, either of you two, I haven't got to look at many of the others. Do you want to unmute and explain how to take a selfie or how to put a video in? Do you feel comfortable doing either of those, Lisa or Jessica? If not, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I can explain how to put a video in, because I didn't.
Okay, perfect. Do you want to share your screen, or do you want to just walk me through how to do it on my screen?
How to do it on your screen would be fantastic.
Okay.
So I went to insert and then video. And I actually had emailed myself the link, so I just typed in the specific link to get to it, but you could probably search from anything. But I just did, yeah, whatever.
Okay, so perfect. So you could, like Jessica was saying, you could search for anything. So if I wanted to search for a Gary Brooks video, go ahead, Jessica, sorry.
And it's okay. And then once you see the video that you want, you just click on it and then click select. And then I just adjusted the size and put it where I wanted it.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome.
So I'll delete that off of your screen. But here's another thing that maybe you're discovering, that when everyone can edit a slide deck or a Google Doc, that you can put things on other people's slides. You might be thinking, well, how do we, what if someone wanted to put a picture of a frog on Jessica's slide here? How do we prevent that? Anybody know? We might not be able to prevent that. People can do that, but usually when you're sharing these out, you are, maybe sharing this out through Google Classroom, and I'll get to that here in a minute, since not everyone was able to join the Google Classroom. That up here, do you see where you're all anonymous animals? You're all anonymous animals because I shared this bit.ly link through you, or to you. If you all access this through Google Classroom, you would be, I could see. So right now, Wendy Anderson, she was able to access this from Google Classroom. So I can see her Google account. Jess, the same thing. Daniel, the same thing here. So if you can, you will usually or always send documents out to your students through their Google accounts, whether it's through email or Google Classroom, so that you'll know who's working on it. So I always tell the kids, Big Brother's always watching. So if you come up here to where it says last edit was seconds ago, there's a couple different places you could go. So if I go to last edit was seconds ago, you can come over here and you can see all of the users. So right now you're all anonymous users, but again, if you weren't, this would show Jessica what she did on this slide. It would show what Lisa did on this slide. Now, if Jessica put a picture or typed some words here on Lisa's slide, it would show this. And then you would be just randomly selected a color here in Google, so that we could see who did what. So again, Big Brother is always watching you. Again, if you're still having trouble with that YouTube video, it's fine. We can help you with it. And then Lisa, did you feel comfortable? Do you want to talk about how to take a selfie and then insert it?
Sure. So I have it on another screen, so I can't screen share it, but I'll explain it.
Okay.
So there's two ways for the image. You can either, what I usually do is press insert image, which is under slide up at the top. Yeah, so insert and then image, and then I chose one. I did upload from my computer, or you can click camera and take a selfie right that moment.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, so like Lisa said, you can bring in another photo, but I just tried to talk about taking a selfie because not all teachers have taken selfies before.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember back to when I first started to learn about taking a selfie. And then all I have to do, so it's pulling from my other camera over here, just smile at the camera and then click on this, the camera icon. And when I'm ready, just smile. Okay, so then here's my picture. If I like it, I can insert it. If I don't like it, cancel, and then I can take another one. So just go up to insert, image, and now camera, and now you'll be on your way to taking all these selfies of yourself. Okay. So you can work on this throughout the workshop if you want. If you have questions, again, feel free to unmute and ask, and or put it in chat. So with the Google Classroom overview, going to start over and show how to create a classroom. In the very beginning, I was trying to teach you how to join a classroom. Some of you were able to do that. And how to add students. Then we'll go over the Stream tab, Google Meet, and the Classwork tab. But again, for some of you who are used Google Classroom before, feel free, go through these slides and work ahead. I'm going to go back and forth between Google Classroom and this slide deck here. So we will just jump right into the Google Classroom here. And again, how do I go into Classroom? Couple different ways. I can come over here to the waffle. Do you see I'm signed into my Google account? This is my work account. And that's why I couldn't have you join my Google Classroom from my work account, because only people within my domain can join my work account. So again, that's why I had you joining my personal account, Google Classroom. But if I come over here to Classroom, here's all of my classes that I have in my Google Classroom. So again, how do you get a class? Let me back up a minute. If this is your first time going into Google Classroom, it may ask you to see, are you the teacher or the student? Make sure you mark you're the teacher. And then can some of you help me out? What else does it say when you're first going into Classroom? After it says you're a teacher, then what's the next question? Did anybody else get another question? It asks for you to set up your Google Classroom. Okay. All right. So then once you're in, all you have to do is come up here and hit this plus sign to create a class. So to create a class, all that is required is the name of the class. So if I don't want to put anything for section or subject or room, I don't have to. Later on, if I want to change anything on here, can I? You sure can. So once you put a class name in here, you hit create. It creates a Google Classroom for you. Right here on my home page of Google Classroom, I've got 8 cards. Each of these cards represents a classroom that I have created. Now, for some of you who created a Google Classroom last year and worked with it with your students, and you don't need it here in August with your new students, you could archive a classroom. And archiving a classroom will let you still reuse posts from it, and you don't have to delete it. Archiving a classroom gets it off of your main screen here, and then you can still reuse posts from it if you need to from year to year. So to archive a classroom, anybody out there already archived your classrooms from last year if you use Google Classroom?
Yep, already.
Okay, perfect. And so archiving a class will go right here. So to archive a class, all you have to do is click these 3 dots, and then you can move it, edit it, copy it, or archive it. Now, some teachers want to copy their class for next year. They're going to use the same things. What I would do, or what I've done in the past, is I would always archive it and then just reuse my post, because from class to class, I might change things. So just like with these workshops I'm doing with you guys, I've changed it from last week. Again, I'm just constantly changing and learning and hopefully getting better with working with teachers and this content here. So you could either copy or archive. I always chose to archive it and then just reuse post from it. But again, you will find, whether this is your first time using Google or being introduced to some of the Google apps, that there are multiple ways to do the same thing. For some people, that drives them nuts. They just want one way and one way only. But again, this allows for differentiation, since not all of our brains function the same way, think the same way. So it's nice to have these options. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a length of time after you archive a class that it becomes like unavailable, or does it stay available all the time?
Yeah, it stays available all the time. The only way that it's not there in the archive class is if you deleted it. But when you've archived it, it will always be there. And even if you archived a class, so great question. Was that you, Courtney?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Even though I've archived this classroom, I can copy it. If I want to decide to copy it, I can restore it. So I can put it back there, or I delete it. If I delete it, I won't have access to it after. So I would just archive the class if you think you may want it someday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. So one thing with Google, anytime you see 3 dots here, that means there's another menu there. So click on that. Anytime you see any icons there, usually when you hover over that icon, it'll tell you. So this one's, it'll open up the gradebook for this classroom. This one will open up the Google Drive folder for this classroom. So once I've created the class, then it takes me into the classroom here. So the stream is your main page here. And we've got the title Google 101. I will tell you this, I first named this a different name, and on the back end, it doesn't change everything. So it creates, as soon as you create a classroom, it creates a Meet link for you, it creates a calendar for you, and it creates a Google Drive folder for you. Just like what we saw here in classes, it created this Google Drive folder here for me. And when I go into that Google Drive folder, it doesn't change the name of it. Can I change the name of it? I can. So originally when I created this classroom, I named it Differentiation Workshop. Well, I since then renamed it to Google 101. And so the reason I did this is to show this here in the workshop that you can change the name midstream, but if you do, you'll have to come back here and you can change the name here on the folder by right-clicking on it and renaming it. Again, for this workshop purposes, I don't change the name just so I can show you that you can change it. But that's one thing that Google doesn't have programmed to change the name if you do change the name of your classroom. So if I go back into my classroom here, here's the class code. So this is the class code that I showed you on my other Google Classroom for you to join the class. If some of you want to see if you can join this class, you can see what error you get. But again, usually you can't join with your school account. I don't know if some of you could even join with your personal account. You could try. I know some people were able to join. So we've got that class code there. And as you can see, you can click on that to display it. I can click here to do a full screen. So whether you're remote learning or face-to-face, you can share this out with your students. You can even share this code out to them through an email if you needed to, if they weren't all online in a Google Meet or a Zoom with you. Right here, I can choose, as you saw on my class page, I had different themes. You can choose, select a theme, and choose some that they have here in the gallery. You can also upload a photo, and this was just, I created this Bitmoji in Google Slides, and I turned it into a photo and uploaded that. So that's something we can show you how to do another time if you're interested, or maybe challenge some of you to do that, and you can share out how you did that. So here in Google Classroom, I've got upcoming work. So what's due today? So at 11:59, I have a Sharks assignment due. Next Wednesday, I have a multiplication assignment due. This is the teacher view, but the kids would see this as well. And then your stream right here, this is basically where you share things with your class, like announcements. How I've got my stream set up is I've got kids who could chat back and forth, and hopefully they'll use that to help each other. In the beginning, did I have kids who would put gibberish and just want to chat with each other about how their day's going or whatever it may be? I did, but then over time, after the kids kind of that wore off, the kids would then use it to get help and help each other, or share out things that they discovered or that they learned. So right here where it says share something with your class, here's what I can do. I can share this with this class, or I can share it with multiple classes. But watch what happens to students. Because right now, here's the students I can share it with. Okay, so we had Courtney, she was able to join. I don't know if Laura is from the workshop today, but it looks like some of you are able to join this classroom as well.
Yep, Laura is.
Okay.
Yeah, I just joined with the code. It worked.
Okay, perfect. And was that your personal account?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So anybody, if you want to join, you're more than welcome to join. And then, so right here, then if I wanted to send this out to 2 classes, what happened to all students? I can't click on it. I think some of you maybe were saying it, but didn't unmute. So if I want to just send this to certain students, I have to do this 1 class at a time. So in this Google 101 class, if I just want to send it to the students that are in the workshop today, I can unselect everyone else. So then Laura and Courtney would get the message that I would share with them. Okay, and then I can post it. I can put whatever I want on it. So then they should be able to respond. And feel free, Laura and Courtney or anybody else who joins, feel free to respond as well. But if people join after the fact, I only included 2 students here and it shows me the 2 students. So then if I wanted to share out other things, I could type something here. I have to have something typed here for this to work because do you see where post isn't highlighted here? And then if I go here to add, so let's say I add something from my Google Drive or I add a YouTube video and I want them to look at. Again, I'll use Gary Brooks. Do you see how I can't post it yet because I do have to put a message here? Okay. So if this wasn't tied to an assignment, it's just something out there I want to share with the class, I could put it here in the stream. So the stream is basically for announcements here. So then what I could do, I can post this right now, just like I posted this down here and Courtney posted a comment back. Then if I don't want to post it right now, let's say for, I'm going to be gone, I'm going to have a sub tomorrow. So I want this to be posted at 8 a.m. So the kids don't see it that I'm going to be gone tomorrow, that I could schedule it to go out tomorrow at 8 a.m. and schedule it. And then it will go out tomorrow at 8 a.m. How do I know that? My saved announcements right up here. I can click on this or click on the down arrow. This will show you if it's a draft or if it's scheduled. So at any time, I can always click on these and go back in and unschedule it if I want and just have it push it out now. I can change if I have it going to all students. I can do that. Oh, it looks like more students were able to join this classroom. Perfect. And then, so I'll go ahead and cancel this. Let me click on schedule. Okay, so schedule for tomorrow. So if I've got, let me just go have it. Oh, it must be scheduled for the future. So what time is it? Let me just put it at 10 a.m. So it will get pushed out here in a couple minutes. But at any time, if I want to, I can delete it if I don't want it scheduled anymore or I don't need this draft anymore. Again, once I have pushed something out here, I can click on these 3 dots. I can edit it. So right now it shows 2 students. If I want to go and select the other students that joined, then I can hit save. So then now they should have access to this in their stream and they can comment back and forth.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
Can I just add just something? We were talking as a team on Monday about Google Classroom, and I just know that you just did where only certain students can see it. And we brought up the point where if you have certain students in your class, whether they're SPED or they have that differentiation or confidentiality where maybe you're pushing out goal work or that stuff, that this is a great way where not your
Oh, I just lost Courtney, or I don't hear her anymore. Is that you guys too, or is it just me? Okay, Courtney, for some
Courtney,
reason
unmute
you,
yourself.
okay,
I think she was just going to say how you can differentiate. We were talking about like if you have special ed students or EL students in your classroom, how they could have their own work with inside the Google Classroom with other students wouldn't see the assignment.
okay,
Sorry, Zoom and my internet sometimes don't get along. So
yeah.
it
Hey,
came up-
I hear you. I was having trouble this morning before this.
But yeah, Becky, you said it because we had that talk before. But yep, that was my point.
Okay, perfect. And, let's say Courtney put, hello here, or she put other gibberish or whatever, anything inappropriate, then hopefully, you have a talk with that student and or all of the students. Big Brother's always watching. Everything they post here can be seen. Always in the beginning, I let the kids chat back and forth because for some of them, this is brand new to them. They love seeing their response live, seeing being able to chat with each other. And then over time, then hopefully you can, they kind of tone it back and they don't use it for a place to chat, that they use it for a place to get help or, talk about what they've learned. But in case if you do, if you still have a student out there who's not following directions, yeah, I'm going to reload to see if other people have posted. And I just saw Edith came in. So we've got 2 class comments here. So Ola, back to you, Edith, as well. So these 3 dots right here, I can mute Edith or I can mute Courtney if I needed to. I can delete this if I talk to Courtney or Edith about what they put here and they said, okay, I'll try to do better. All I have to do is delete them and not mute them. But if I mute one of them, you can mute any of your students instead of turning the chat totally off. And what does muting a student do? They can still submit their work, so they don't get out of doing the classwork. Just other students won't see it. They can't reply to classmates' work, and they can't comment or post here in chat. So the stream I call as a place for chat as well. And then if I wanted to, I could delete that. At any time you can unmute them. They say, oh, Mrs. Schwartz, I want to be able to chat back and forth because I want to ask questions or share things. You can always unmute them as well. Where do you unmute them? I'm in the stream tab, but I go to the people tab. If I go to the people tab here, this is where I would unmute them. So if I muted Wendy, right up here, I selected her, put a check mark by her picture, her name, where it says actions, it would say unmute. So this is where I would unmute her in the people tab. I could email her here, or if I want to remove her from this class, I could remove her from the class as well. So that's one way. Another thing, so here's the 3 dots that, again, you've got another, menus to do. This one, it says move to the top is grayed out because it's already at the top. But for some reason, if I want to move this to the top, I can move this to the top and it goes to the top here. So anytime, it's kind of like pinning something, but right now, pinning's not available here on the stream. It's just always moving it to the top. Will pinning become available sometime? It may. I know that's been a big ask to incorporate into Google Classroom. So who knows what Google is going to come out with. Sometimes in the past, we've seen some changes, usually in August and January, but during remote learning, we saw changes in April. So again, they can push out updates at any time. So don't panic if you see something different or something was there the day before and it's not there today. It's not you losing your mind. It's just the world we're in with technology. Okay, so the 3 dots here. Then also, if you see a gear, anywhere you see this gear, I call it a gear. Some other people might call it a different name, that's fine. That gear is also settings. So here's where another place I can rename my class. I can add a description, add all of these other things that I could have added when I first started the classroom. The class code. I know I talked about this, how you can generate a new code right here under the gear, which is the settings for this class only. I can change the class code. So probably after today's workshop, I will reset this so that when other people see this class code, if they see it from the recording, that they can't join the class. You might want to reset it or even disable it if you don't want any kids to join any longer. In the classroom, I always kept it up because I always got new kids all the time. That's just the way life goes with students, and joining your class and exiting your class. So you can reset it at any time or disable it. If you disable it, you can always re-enable it, or I guess enable. You can always enable it there. The other thing on Stream, you know how I had where students can post and comment? If for some reason, you don't have time to monitor that and students aren't using it appropriately, even after you've talked about digital citizenship, maybe you muted a few students. Well, there's a lot more students just using it inappropriately. Until you can see that they're using it appropriately, and depending on the age of kids you work with, you can turn it on where students can only comment or where only teachers can post or comment. So if I enable this one, then Courtney and Edith wouldn't be able to comment anymore. I didn't mute them, but what I did on the stream, I just put it where teachers can post or comment. So you do have control over that as well. Another thing here I haven't talked about on Stream is show condensed notifications. So here you have control over that. I'm going to give you some time here to play instead of always listening to me right now. But when you've got time here let's see. Yeah, I want to keep my changes. To explore the stream, also explore this gear here as well. So if I go back here to the slide deck, let me go down to, so if you want to kind of go back to creating announcements here on slide 22 and 23, you can look at those again. But I'm going to, got one challenge here for you on slide 24. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for those of you who might be having a hard time accessing, doing a dual screen there, or dual windows on your screen. I want you to practice creating an announcement in Stream. If you haven't created a Google Classroom, create a Google Classroom. If you're a member of one of our Google Classrooms, can you participate in that? Maybe make a comment in there on Stream. And then, again, if you finish early, go check out settings. Now, did I go through everything with you? Did I read all of this challenge here with you? I didn't. So if you have questions, put it in the chat in the Zoom room. Some of you who are members of the classroom can put it in chat on the stream. I call it chat on the stream. Some people just call it stream. You'll get used to what you say with your students. But I want you to go back to your Google or to your classroom and create an announcement. Are there any questions what I'm asking you to do? Okay, so create an announcement, add something to it if you want. I didn't show you all of these things, play around with it. I'll be quiet, I'll stop sharing my screen, and then.
Or just a front post.
Okay. Good. So then what we're going to be doing, just like what Courtney said, she uses it for announcements or upcoming tests. We'll show you then what the classwork tab will be used for. So on the classwork tab, I will go ahead and share my screen here. The classwork tab, this is where you will post your assignments. So before I talk about the classwork tab, let me go back here to the slide deck here. I didn't talk about here on slide 18. I will tell you with Google Classroom, when I started trying to use this with my students, and did you hear the word I said try? I was learning it as I was going, as I was working with the students, and I did make several mistakes. Do I still make mistakes today? I still do. But it helped me with, the biggest problem I had was getting those students who were absent, getting them caught up and making sure they didn't miss everything, and making sure I conveyed all of the information to them that they needed to do the assignment. The Google Classroom workflow helped me with those absent students, because then if they had a device and they had internet access, they didn't have to wait until they came back to school to see what they missed. They could work on it during the day if they were at home sick, if they weren't too deathly sick. Because all of the resources I pushed out in Google Classroom, they saw the due date, they saw the rubric if I attached one. Any other resources, whether it was a YouTube video or a website that they needed to go to, any files. So again, they had everything pushed out to them through Google Classroom. They did not have to wait. And then on the back end, everything is integrated within your Google Drive, and we'll look more at that here when we talk about the classwork tab. So again, I'm not reading these slides word by word. Feel free, some of you, again, I put these out there for some of you who, just to help with differentiation today as well. And hopefully I'm talking about some of these as I'm talking about the Google Classroom here. Okay, so you've done your challenge, and any problems with that? No? Okay, so then we're going to go to the classwork tab. And then with the classwork tab, what's nice about this is you can decide how you want to organize it. The biggest thing here is you will need to convey to your students your thinking and your organization. Here, how you created the topics. Some people will create the topics by the week and put all the assignments in there by the week. Some people will put the topics in by the topic that they're learning, or if it's questions, or, you know, sometimes with the primary grades, if one teacher's teaching every subject, they may have it by math and science and all of the different subject contents there. You may have it by chapters. You can decide how that looks, but it's worth a few minutes to talk about the topics and how you've got it set up. Do you have to have all the topics set up at the beginning? You don't. You can set it up as you're creating assignments. I will tell you this, what some people suggest is when you create assignments is to start numbering them. And when you number them with like a 3-digit number so that students can easily find it on the classwork tab. So for example, I've got this one numbered, the pound symbol, the number symbol here, 001. You might ask, well, Lisa, why aren't you just putting the first assignment, number 1, animal farm lesson? Well, let me show you. If you hit Control F, that lets you find on the page. So if I want to find assignment number 1, watch what happens here. It tells me I have 50 hits. Every where there's a number 1, it highlights and it lets me know. So that's not an easier way to find the first assignment. So then if I number it with the number symbol here in 001, it will only be one match and it will take me right to that. So again, this works for some. Is it the end all do all? Or the end all, whatever that saying is? No, or end all be all. But it's what works for you. But again, some of these tricks that work for you, share with your students. Because, you know, after being in this classroom for the year, you could have several assignments here and it could be overwhelming for the students. So here on the classwork page, some people want to put in the numbers so that it's easier for the students to find the assignment. Because if you don't know that I put something in the science, then they would have to go and click on each of these topics and just look at it to see when something's due. Again, they don't have to do it that way, because if you go back to stream, again, here on the stream, it shows the upcoming work. So we'll kind of talk about the workflow here on the classwork tab as we go and assign and create an assignment. So what can you create here in Google Classroom? If you go to create, you can create an assignment, a quiz assignment, question, material, reuse post. So this is where you can reuse a post from an archive class. You can reuse a post from another classroom that is live right now. And you can also even create the topic from right here. So if I want to put it under a certain topic and I don't see it here on the left-hand side, I can create the topic. So let me just go on in and hit create an assignment. And when you create the assignment, you do have to give it a title. So again, with the title, if this is my third assignment, if I want to give it the number 3, and if I wanted to push out that the Google slide introduction that we all filled out earlier, what I could do, Google slide introduction, I can again put instructions here. Another place for them to access instructions. And just like with Google, there's multiple ways to do the same thing. What we're finding, put the directions multiple different places for the kids to access. Another thing here, instructions, because all you would have to do if you already had the instructions on the assignment, you could go over to the assignment and copy and paste it. Just copy it and then paste it over to your Google Classroom. You can, clean it up a little bit as far as if you needed to, put numbers there, whatever. Another thing with instructions, not only during remote learning are you teaching your students, but you're helping coach your parents. So what some teachers did during this remote learning time is they put questions here that the parents could ask the students of the class. Now, some parents were able to be more involved in their child's learning than others, but if a parent wanted to help out their child more, maybe they didn't know what questions to ask. So you're also learning to be a coach to your parents out there to help them help their child. And then I can come here and go to add. What can I add to this assignment? I can add anything I have in my Google Drive. I can link it, copy it and paste a link here, a file. If it's not in my Google Drive, but it's on my computer, I can upload it. I can even put a YouTube video in here. So let me go to my Google Drive. And within my Google Drive, I can go to recent or upload. So let me just go ahead and upload this Google Slides. And I had uploaded this to that other Google Classroom I created on my personal account. And how I shared this out with you all was where students could edit file. So right here, when you share certain files, you have rights to, you can push it out where they view it. If they view the file, they can't edit anything on there. If they edit the file, that's when, on the collaborative Google Slides introduction you did this morning, that's editing the file, that everyone has editing access. Now, if I wanted each student to have their own copy, if this was a template just primarily for each student, then I would just push it out, make a copy for each student. So let me show you the difference here. Then I'm going to make a copy for each student, and then let me push out this, and I'll put it where you can view the file. Then if I wanted to have you create something and I wanted you to create it in a Google Drawing, I could hit create and click Google Drawing right now. What that does, it brings up a blank Google Drawing and it ties it to this assignment. I don't think I have ever used the create button from the Google assignment. Why? Because I try to have everything created first and it's in my Google Drive, and then I add it that way. Can you do it the other way? You sure can. So you can create a Google Drawing. If there's something I wanted to create to push out to you guys, then I could give it a name. I've just learned to put the date, and then I can draw on this, do whatever I need to, If I needed to show you something, and I can push that out for it. Do you see it was saving to my drive automatically? Okay. It showed me right up there. I didn't have to press save. And it's here in my Google Classroom. If I reload the page, this should update to the title. Nope. All right, so I can quickly, let's see if I find on the page my 003. Okay, here it is. It's draft. Why? Because I hadn't posted it, so I can go in and edit it. And then there it updated the title of it. So I've got my title, I can delete that. So I'll put it where students can edit this file, okay? Now over here, kind of similar to Stream, this is where I can have it, since I'm in my Google 101 class, it will go to this class for sure. But if I want to have it go to another class, watch the all students. It grays it out because I can't select what students, kind of like what Courtney and Becky were talking about earlier about differentiation. So if I go to all students and I know I need to differentiate for a few students, then I can just push this out to those students and then push another assignment out like this, very similar, but with different instructions or different, a template or something else that they would need. So let me just try to push this out to the people. I'm thinking these are the people. Is Patricia in this class, in this workshop today? I'm thinking she is, but if not, that's fine. So I'll push it out to them. So it tells me 11 students will get it. I'm going to make this worth 10 points. I can make this ungraded if I want, but what I found when I made assignments ungraded, the students didn't think they had to do them. So I always attach points to it. Again, your students may be different than mine, but that was what I had found, that some things I didn't want graded, but anytime if I didn't attach any points to it, they're like, oh, I don't have to do that. Due date, another thing I learned. If I didn't put a due date on there, so let's say this is due Friday, I can put a time, but if I didn't have a due date, again, the students wouldn't feel urgency that they needed to work on it this week. But what I could do, I could, once I assigned this, I could always, you know, let's say it was Thursday or even Friday and I saw the students needed more time to work on it. Again, whether it's remotely or in class, face-to-face, I could always change the due date back. Again, feel free if anybody has tips or tricks how they use that in their classroom. Feel free to talk about that as well. Topic, I can put this under a topic. So if this went under the farm unit, I could put it under the farm unit. Again, if I didn't see the topic here, I could create a topic from right here. Or I could just put no topic. I don't have to put it under a topic. I could add a rubric here. I could also check for plagiarism. So if this was an essay, I will tell you with this originality report, what that is, with our G Suite for Education accounts, we get up to 3 free, okay? So you can only use that 3 times for 3 assignments. And what I like about this is on the front end, it lets the kids know, hey, when they run the report, you copy this, you know, right from the website, and then they know before they turn it in, so that hopefully that will save you a step from having to go over it again if you had already talked about plagiarism. You know, they're learning. So I like this. It shows them what website they got it from, and it highlights what they copied and pasted right from the website. So that's the originality report. And then, so when I'm ready, I could go ahead and assign this right now, or again, I could schedule it or save it as a draft. So I'll go ahead and assign it. So then it says they will see this assignment in their streams immediately. So then if we go to the stream, how do they see it immediately in their stream? So right here, I've got my stream turned on that they get a condensed notification. So it shows, hey, Mrs. Schwartz posted a new assignment. Here's the title. And the students don't see this, but you see it as a teacher. 11 students received this assignment. How did I turn that on? If you go up here to the gear, and it's the classwork on the stream right here. So I've got it turned on, show condensed notification. So my students know that on stream, they will see a condensed notification while I assign something new to them. If you don't like that, you can hide the notifications altogether. Or if you sort of like it, but you want it to show attachments and details, you can do that as well. So my suggestion, play around with it. But again, however you set the settings up, make sure you convey that to your students. Because one time I had a student who was in another classroom. He's like, he always was looking at the stream for the show condensed notifications. He's like, my teacher's not assigning anything. I don't have anything in stream. Well, that teacher chose to hide notifications for the student then to go to the classwork tab. Now, does that keep them from going from the classwork tab? I don't think so. They can still go there, but again, it's an easier way for some students to know so that they don't have to click on the classwork tab. So in stream, you know what, let me switch to a student view. I think Blake's a student of that classroom. So if I go to Blake's classroom here, for those of you who weren't able to join my classroom, that's fine, we'll show you. Again, if you use Seesaw, on Seesaw you can see the student view. Here in Google Classroom, the only way you can see the student view usually is ask a student to see their screen to see the student view. I'm fortunate to be able to have a student view here through the Learning Technology Center. So here's Blake, the student view. It shows the teacher posted a new assignment here. He can click on that and go to it. What's nice about it, it brings up the assignment. Here's what the teacher attached. Some of these documents was view only, some were edit. This one was make a copy. So view and edit are here. Make a copy goes right here. When you send out an assignment to make a copy for a student, this is what happens. It puts their name on the assignment with the assignment title. They can open it. It makes a copy of this assignment. It doesn't change it for everyone else. So he could be working on this assignment, but it won't show up on yours. Why is that? If anybody wants to answer that, you can, or if you're answering it in chat.
Can you ask that question one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, no, great question. So when the teacher assigned this assignment to Blake, this shows up, this made a copy to Blake. So when Blake is on this collaborative Google Slides introduction slide deck, it's not going to show what he does. So he's adding his name up here. Why isn't it showing on yours?
Because it has a
It's
different.
on his copy. It's not your copy, right?
That's correct. So it made him his own copy. Your copy was the one, this one that everyone had editing rights to. So do you see, if you push it out to make a copy, it puts his name up there. He can only make the changes on his copy. It doesn't affect anyone else's. So that's what make a copy is. Now, if anybody, I think I did this editing file. So some of you who are in my Google Classroom, if you want to open up this Google Drawings here for this assignment. And this is, everyone can edit. Now, do you see people are coming up here as a letter and not an anonymous animal? So Jennifer, thank you for clicking on this Google Drawing, and everyone else who's joined in. So whether you have your picture or your initials there on your Google account, that's showing up. So we can see who does what. So feel free, if you guys who are on this, if you want to do something. So I push this out so that everyone can edit. You can't mess it up, so do whatever. And so that we can see real time, and we're collaborating right now on the assignment. So that's when you push it out to edit for all of your students.
Hey, Lisa, somebody had just posted in the chat just a real quick question. So on the classwork, you can post, like you can post the assignment so all can see it. If a student needs an extended time, can they edit that individual's assignment due date? Or should she just make a whole new assignment and only post it for that student to see with their extended time?
Yeah, great question. What comes to mind for me, I would do an individual assignment just for that student so that to adjust their due date. Because for that assignment, when you adjust the due date for one, it adjusts for everyone. Or has anyone else who's used Google Classroom before did a different workaround? But no, that's what I would do. Courtney, would you have anything else you would want to say about that?
Nope, I think that's, sometimes what we've been trying to explore a little bit, but I haven't found a way to select, edit it per student in the same post.
Yeah.
But I think I think Jessica Lauber had asked about it. Wonder, so if you make...
Hey, Courtney, your sound's going out again. Do you want to maybe turn off your video?
Lisa, can you make topics so only certain students can see it?
Dude, I was hoping by you turning off.
Yes, does that help?
Okay, say it again now.
I know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So when you make topics, can you make a topic so only certain students can see that topic? Or if you make a topic, they can view any topic that you make within that classwork tab?
Right now, the topics you make, everyone sees. Yeah. I don't think there's a way around it. But again, hopefully we're going to be seeing maybe some updates here in August based off of what teachers ask.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Lisa.
Yeah.
You in the assignments, you said you could attach different things, and like there was a thing to attach a YouTube video or a link to it or whatever. But the question has arisen at our school of some people already have video lectures that they've made in the past in different formats that aren't in Screencastify, that aren't on YouTube. And if they have that on their computer, can they upload that as a file and then make, so that the students can easily click on it and play it? Or is it gonna be necessary to make new video lectures for everything?
No, I wouldn't think that they would have to make new video lectures for everything. A couple things what they could do, you can upload any, or I say any, I guess it depends on what they've got, but my suggestion, they could upload that video to YouTube and push it out that way. Or
if the video is longer than 15 minutes, then we've not been able to get it to upload to YouTube properly.
Oh, really? Okay. So then, yeah, my next thing, yeah, good question would be to just copy the link of it and push it into Google Classroom that way. And if that doesn't work, let me know. I would love to help problem solve
Copy
that.
the link or copy the file?
Either one should work. So depending on where the file is, they could just put the file inserted in, or if they have a link of the file.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, multiple ways, because I could even though I had these in my Google Drive, these three, or I had the 2 Google Slides in my Google Drive, I could still copy the link here and insert it into my Google Classroom that way as well. So it's, again, multiple ways to do the same thing. Do what works for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lorna, great question. If that doesn't work, please do reach out to me, and I would love to help troubleshoot that. Because again, that's why I love questions. I learn as I go as well. So yeah, great questions out there. So another thing here with Google Classroom then, let me show you. This is the assignment. I went back to the assignment. I'm back in the teacher view for a minute here. And so here in the teacher view, it shows 11 students I assigned it to. If I click on that, it shows me the 11 students that I assigned it to. And then it shows zeros turned in. So again, some of you who are in Google Classroom, in my Google Classroom, turn in the assignment. So we can see this change. It shows 11 assigned. And then if for some reason I need to go back and edit something, click on those 3 dots and I can edit the assignment. So if I like, oh, I forgot to add the video to this, I can go back and add it, and then it gets added right to the student's account as well. Let's say I made a mistake, which I do often. I put, this Google Drawing students can edit file, and I really only need it to view file. I can change that. I can change edit and view file after I've assigned it. Okay, so here's what they're working on right now. So I can change those. Right here, Google Slides, I made a copy for each student. Now I can't change this. So you might think, well, what if I make that mistake? There's a way around it. So if you pushed out this assignment and you put on accident, each student will get a copy, what you will need to do, you can delete this. But before you delete it, you have everything else exactly how you want it. You could reuse the post. So what do I mean by that? And just like Courtney's question, or she asked based off of what Jessica asked in chat about if you need to change the due date for one student, you could reuse the post. So how do you reuse this post? Come up here to create and reuse post. Again, technology is supposed to make your life easier. I know some of you right now don't think that. Again, it will eventually, but think back to the last time you learned something new. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be frustrations, but hopefully you've got a support system there, whether it's students or other teachers that will help you. I relied on my students so much to learn because I was trying to learn Google Classroom and the different apps with my students. Because again, we were a Microsoft school. Since I was the computer teacher, not many other teachers were trying to learn Google. But if I wanted to reuse a post from Google 101 class, and do you see it's based off, this one is what I just posted here. As you can see, it goes in descending order based off of the latest times that I've either drafted it or assigned it. So let me reuse this post. Click on that. I want to create new copies of all attachments, and I want to hit reuse. Okay. When I reuse this post, it brings it up like I'm creating a new Google assignment. And it's taking a minute here. And right here, voila. So here I thought I wasted all of my time and made a mistake. Reuse the post, then I can go back in and delete that other post. So here are the Google Slides. I made a copy for each student. I really didn't want it. I wanted them to edit the file or view the file. I can change it here. Everything else stays the same on that page. Then I can hit assign, and then I can go back and then delete that other post where I made the mistake about pushing out the make a copy for each student.
When you make a copy for each student, do you still see what they've done? Or, I mean, do they submit it? Or, I mean, I'm just kind of unclear on that.
Yeah, no, great question. So here, Blake and some of the other students in the class, they'll have to submit it. So here's that make a copy. So then what he'll have to do when he's ready to turn it in, He can go back to this assignment. Right here, make a copy, he will need to actually turn it in. If it's something that they were editing together, it wouldn't be up in your work because it's already shared with you through Google Classroom. This would just say mark as done. But Lorna, to answer your question, then let's say Blake's done with it, he would hit turn in. If Blake's having trouble with this and needs help, this is why I like the chat turned on in stream. Again, I call it chat. If you're confused by that, my apologies. It's the class comments. He can put, I need help, or I don't understand what the teacher's asking. He doesn't have to wait for the teacher to respond to help him. Other students, just like in chat today, other participants are helping each other out. Like I saw, was it Courtney posted the link to join the Google Classroom in chat. Thank you, Courtney. Again, it's supposed to help make your life easier. I think it was Courtney. I apologize if I'm giving credit to the wrong person. Courtney, was it you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And that's why I like class comments on. Does it take a while for kids to get there? Again, it may take longer for some students than others, but another great resource, especially during remote learning. Now, if he's kind of shy and is afraid to put this out in class comments, like, I don't want everyone to know that I don't understand what the teacher's asking, he could put a private comment in here, and this will just go to the teacher. And whenever he's ready, he can click on that arrow if he wants it to go to the class comment or the private comment for the teacher.
How do we view assignments once they've turned them in?
Yeah, great question, Lorna. You're perfect, leading me into all of this. So I'm going to switch back to the teacher side of it here. So as you can see, we've got one person who's turned in. How do I know who's turned it in? I can click on that. It will take me to who's turned it in. What I liked about turned in, it shows here, Jennifer's turned it in, everyone else it's assigned. But I can, even though they haven't turned it in, I can get a thumbnail view of what they've worked on. I can see, oh, Wendy hasn't started at all. And then I can maybe send her a message in Classroom to say, hey, Wendy, I see you haven't started. What can I help you with? So again, another way to communicate with them. Because sometimes, think about how you learn. If you see a lot of students having the same errors, you may just put it out there in stream. Say, oh, if you're having trouble with this, does every kid maybe look at stream? Or does every kid know that, oh, this is the problem that I'm having, and what the teacher's telling me is in stream, and that's what I need to do. So even though it's, maybe 10 kids are having the same issue, you could copy and paste that comment to go to every single student rather than put it out on stream. Just the other day, last week, we have something new we have to learn at work. And it's daily almost, right? And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know that I was doing it wrong. Someone put out in chat about that issue. I'm thinking, oh, that doesn't pertain to me. Then I got thinking, oh, does it pertain to me? So I went looking, and I'm like, sure enough, that message was for me. So, and messages like that, yeah, that's okay. But if they for sure want me to get that message, maybe send it in a private comment. So here on the teacher side, what Lorna asked, how do you see their work? Again, if it's make a copy and they're working on it, you can see what they're doing at any moment's time because it's shared with you when you share it with Classroom. So if I go here to student work, here's all of the work right here. So here it shows me Jennifer's is turned in. Here's all the other people is assigned. So if I can see, if I only put one thing, make a copy, I can see a thumbnail there of what they're working on, and I can see it real life time. So again, let's go into Wendy's here. I see Wendy started on it, but looks like maybe she's having trouble or she just hasn't had time to go back to it. Right over here where it says private comment, this is where I could put the private comment for every student that I need to. But this private comment will only go to Wendy right now. So right here, there's two icons here. I'm on the grading side here. If I go right up here, this is the grading part of it. If I go right here, this is the comment bank. So if I need to say, please finish your work and turn back in to several students, I can copy it to clipboard and then just paste it there so that it's going to go to every student once I go into there. So this was Wendy's. I can go to Laura's next, do the same thing. Just paste that comment here. Whoops, I was over here. And then post, and that private comment will go to that student. So I can go to the other students' work from here by clicking on this arrow, and it takes me to all of their work. If I click on this drop-down arrow, I can see who's turned in and who it's been assigned to. So I know, again, this is a lot to take in. You will have challenges, maybe frustrations, but hopefully they will get easier. You know, always let your kids know that you're learning this as well. I always tell teachers that don't try something new if you are getting evaluated that day. But hopefully it does get better. I'm looking at the time. This has gone way too fast. I didn't get everything covered. Here, I've got, we still have a few minutes here. I do have a challenge here on the classwork tab. If you want to work on that, maybe some of you have already worked on some of that, you can create an assignment. Also here on the classwork tab, I didn't even get to how you could, let me go back here. Under create, you can do a question material. So, you know, if you have time sometime today or this week, go back through the slide deck here and maybe look at the challenges that I have here to see if you have questions. You can always email me, maybe have a group discussion with your other teachers there. But if you continue on here with the slide deck, we've got, you know, talked about importing, putting a Google form in there. It talks about grades. But again, we could have spent 4 to 8 hours on Google Classroom today. Would that have been the best use of our time? Probably not, because how will you best learn with Google Classroom?
Trying it for ourselves.
Yeah, and maybe making some of those mistakes. And, you know, to this day, I remember those mistakes that I made 5, 6 years ago in Google Classroom with my students. So it will get easier. Just remember to breathe. I didn't even get time to talk about Google Meet. I do have on my YouTube channel, I did do a workshop just on Google Meet. Feel free to access that. You should have access to all of that. How do you get to my YouTube channel? If you go to slide 5, it's probably not what you want to hear, right? Or you can even just Google about Google Meet. But on the YouTube channel here, you can see the different workshops that I've had since, I think I started recording them in April, that you can see all of the different workshops out there that you can see. You can fast forward it, you know, you don't have to watch it all, but it's there to help you to go back to, because that's the thing in this time of remote learning, is that when you need to know it, you need to be able to find the resources to go to. Just like I think Lorna talked about, having the videos there for the students to access, to go back to learn, oh, you mean I really have to do this? And yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the teacher at that time. Well, it's on demand. When they need to know it, they can go back in and access that video. Think about how you learn, and hopefully that will help you with helping your students in the classroom. But so today we mainly just got over stream and classwork. But again, I've got some other videos out there that go more in depth about Google Classroom if you want to look more about people or grades as well. I do want to stop there in case if people want to share out your successes or what worked for you in Google Classroom, or questions you may have.
Lisa, I just have a quick question, just because I've